What's up, y'all? Another episode of Let's Argue. We are back. Brand new episode. Haven't been on it in a little bit. It's taken me a minute to get to this point. Sorry about that. It's been a little rough. As you can see, back in the man cave again. And I'm excited. Got a new setup, got a gaming monitor for my PS5, stuff like that. Anyways, let's jump into it. So the NBA Finals is kicked off. I kind of didn't get the chance to really cover a whole lot that has been going on. So here we are, new setup. Here we are. And game one happened, and I feel like Heat kind of got off to a shaky start. They just really weren't playing themselves. So I mean, I feel like in game one wasn't that bad for them. They kind of bounced back in game two last night, caught a good chunk of it, and the Heat look like they can put up a fight against the good old Denver Nuggets. It's a tight battle right now between the two, and they don't look. Neither team looks like they are going to back off, and I think the way the Heat looked different in game two was they are a more put together team. I've never truly believed in Denver, honestly. Like Denver hasn't gave me that I don't know. They don't give me that wow factor. Miami gives me more of that wow factor. Um, they have more of a feels like they have more of a punch when they start playing good. Denver just seems like they go with the flow, and if the flow isn't working, they seem not to connect very well. And I mean, Joker is Joker, and he's putting up crazy points and stuff like that, and he's balling out. But I mean, I think I think with him being a superstar, right? And they know who he is and what he can do. They're not too worried about him if they can eliminate Denver's bench from playing good because Denver plays really well. They move the ball really well. They do everything really well. They're a team. They're a kind of like team aspect type of team as well. Like everything has to work within the team in order for them to win the games. It can't just be Joker dropping 41. Clearly, did not work for them. And I think if they slow down Jamal Murray a little bit, things will go in Miami's favor. Because Miami, I feel like, they were rocky throughout the year, and then now they're in the finals, and they've proven out. So with that being said, I think as long as they can maintain what they did last night and not have people have like sleeper nights, and I think they got Tyler Hero back. Let me take a look. Honestly, I could pull that up real quick. See if Tyler Hero is back in the lineup. I'm not gonna lie, haven't played heavy attention to the games and lineups and like stuff like that. I'm kind of watching it just entertainment purposes wise. My team's not in the playoffs anymore, the Warriors. So like bear with me just a tiny bit here. Been quite busy. And so in the meantime, just to kill some time while I pull up the games here. Sorry about that, everybody. So in the meantime, I mean, for the Texas fans out there, the Rangers are looking incredible, in my personal opinion. Um, they've shocked me, not gonna lie. And here we go. I've pulled up the games. Pull up last night. Yeah, Heat won their game. No, I need. Why would they only show me? They're only showing me May. Why? Bear with me here. They're only showing up to May. Why? This is really stupid. Mind you, the journey that the Heat had to take to get to this point. Um. Okay, game's being really stupid. Bear with me here, guys. I'm gonna pull something up here on the good old computer. Phone is being retarded. Anyways, so they almost let this game slip from them. Miami did, but they held on long enough, held their defense together. Heat. Yeah, so they won 111 and 108. It came down to like the very last possession, which I think the games are going to go that way for quite some time, honestly. And let's see here. This is exactly what I needed. Um, so Kevin Love played. He actually got his first starting nod in a very long time. Kevin Love is not the same as he used to be. And I mean, for example, the Heat hit from 48% from 3 point, and Denver was missing quite a bit. They hit 39%. So a huge gap in, I would say, the fourth quarter. The Heat picked it up, and Denver kind of pumped the brakes there towards the end, and it just didn't really work out. Now, the where Miami might struggle because they're not as big as Denver, and Denver's got a big team, is points in the paint is a drastic difference between the two, almost a 20-point difference, like close to 20 points difference in that. But fouls were about the same. I think it's more of Miami was on it, had more less free less free throws, more made with their attempts percentage wise. They had two less attempts. Denver had 22 and only made 19. Not bad, honestly. Trying to pull up the actual box score so I can see who actually played. There we are. There it is. Won't show up on the phone though. That's weird. So I mean, game one, right? Nuggets won 104-93. It was a quite a big difference. And game two, I believe Tyler Hero didn't play in that game. I want to see if he played in this game at all. Actually, I don't think he did in this game either. I think they're still without him. And that's actually quite impressive because like beforehand, Tyler Hero was like the huge like game changer for them in this whole series and everything. That's actually quite impressive. All right. I mean, they're pretty even across the board. The starting five did excellent across the board. Nothing too crazy, but I mean, when you have three starters drop 20 plus points, and then I mean, you're going to put together something pretty well. I mean, with Kevin Love getting 10 rebounds, he was mainly like a distributor in that game. He's not really there he's covering for somebody. I forget who they said didn't play in that game, but yeah, Tyler Hill actually wasn't in this game. All right. Or game one. The Heat are doing this without a key player. And honestly, if they can do this without a key player, imagine what they would have been looking like with that key player. I think Miami wins this in 6. I don't think it's going to go 7, just off the fact that Miami was able to bounce back and get one back game 2, and they won it in Denver. So now I believe it's going to be in Miami. And let's see, next game. I believe is in Miami. I believe so. Yes. The next game will be in Miami. Um, I mean, it's still going to go in the Nuggets' favor. They've been dominating people all through the playoffs, and you can't count them out. But that now that their series is tied in Miami, the way it's going, I haven't heard a whole lot of news for Miami whether or not they're getting Hero back or not. I also haven't been checking in on that too much. I could take a look at that. Game time decision is what is posted currently. Still experiencing soreness and swelling after shooting 1 hour ago. So that is the freshest update for the Miami Heat and their situation. I don't think Denver has anyone significantly out and for the time being. Could be wrong. But the way this series is looking, I truly think Tyler Hero at some point in the finals is going to come back and play in the finals. It is a hand injury, which is a pretty big deal for basketball because that's going to be rough to play when you can't shoot properly. Other than that, guys, we're gonna move on to MLB. Give me, guy. Actually, you know what? Give me your thoughts on how far you think this series is going. I think I've been seeing a lot of Miami in six. I personally think just the way how last night's game went, Miami looks like they have figured out how to handle Denver, how to handle their game, how to slow them down, ruin their flow, lockdown defense, younger, faster team. I would say Denver's a more slower, methodical team in this series, but they make their shots quickly. So I think just based off the fact that Miami can speed up the game, and I think that's the change in momentum for them. And if they can maintain that, then they have a solid chance of making it to game six and possibly not having to worry about going to a game seven. They've gone game seven in their last series and it worked out in their favor. Didn't matter that it was in Boston. Boston really slept on the last series and it ended up working out pretty well for the Heat. Other than that, guys, let's jump into some baseball. So baseball lately, the trade deadline is creeping up on us. All-Star break is creeping up on us. The season's chugging along pretty well. We all have a pretty good idea of who's going to be who now, probably for the rest of the season, just off of what has been going on. So, pull up the standings and you know, Tampa Bay is just chugging along. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're maintaining that. That's the biggest thing is they're maintaining that pretty well, home and away. They're not doing too bad. There's no distinction difference in how they play. Now the big one I want to mention because my Giants just played the Baltimore Orioles and they in a way held their own. Giants are dealing with some injuries. They're dealing with a pitching issue as well. Offense is not as bad as last year for the Giants, but just off that series alone, been able to watch a lot of live baseball lately. The Baltimore Orioles are the real deal. They're only 4 games from first in their division. Their division is stacked top to bottom. No one has a losing record in the American League East as of right now. Now, the Red Sox are in last 30-29. There's a chance that pretty much everybody in that division could make the playoffs. Boston looks like they're kind of creeping away. They're double digits back in the division, but they are slightly above 500. They don't do too well away. They're decent at home. Some trades are going to happen, I think. There's going to be a shift, I would say, come trade deadline and All-Star break. There's always that shift in teams. Some teams start off decent. They get a couple trades done. I would say the headliner of this trade deadline and topic would be obviously the Shohei Otani show. And there's a strong possibility that he's not going to be around too long in Los Angeles, depending on what direction their season's about to go in. Um, he may or may not be traded due to the fact that there's some teams that want to make a playoff push this year, whether they are close or not. I think the worst division in baseball right now is probably, at least in the American League, is the American League Central. Um, Everyone in that division but the Twins have a losing record, and the Twins are only 31-29. And if they were in any other division, they'd be damn near last, and all these teams would be damn near last. A few of those teams are off to a shaky start. Guardians are picking it back up. Minnesota's sitting at the top of the division. They're not a bad team. They're not as good as the rest of the American League. Like I don't see anyone out of the Central coming out on top unless some trades happen, some changes. I know there's injuries too. I think the Guardians might take a tank. Um, but the Kansas City Royals are an absolute joke again this year. Probably, I mean, they're just as bad as they are home and away. They're not doing good. They're not doing good at all. Off-season transactions is absolutely nothing for them. They're damn near eliminated already, and they're not even at the halfway point. But we are creeping up on that. Let's talk about the Texas Rangers, damn near the best team in the league right now. It's crazy how Bruce Bochy comes in. Bruce Bochy came from 3 championships in a 5-year span, and then picks up their Texas Rangers. Rangers have made a lot of transactions in the last couple of years, and it's now paying off. They now brought in a manager that has experience in a playoff environment and what to do and how to manage a lineup like this. And like I don't know what it seemed like Bruce Bochy on his way out of San Francisco, they quote unquote said retiring, right? But obviously that wasn't the case. And I mean, it seems like he was gone for a little bit, and then he's back, and he's doing just as good as he was in San Francisco. He has a front office that's really putting together a team for him as well, which is really helping him out. Their offense is off the charts. Like they are scoring double compared to everyone else besides like Tampa Bay. They are a hitting machine of a team. I mean, it's a two-headed race, I believe, in that division. But like I've been saying it all year so far for the Angels, are keeping up, but they're just not as good as the Houston Astros or the Texas Rangers. That division is owned by those two teams right now. I think for the first time in a very long time, the Astros have a pretty big challenge ahead of them come towards the end of the season if the Rangers can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they will have a excellent postseason, I think. I think it'll come down between Houston Astros and Rangers, and I'm gonna just say it in the American League, ALCS. I'm seeing it now, and if I could see it now, that's it's a rude awakening for the American League because I think the only competition other than that is probably going to be between the Rays, Orioles, and Yankees. And based on how the Yankees have been doing in the postseason the past few years, they've been first round knockouts. So don't really see the Yankees changing a whole. I pending any major changes to lineups come trade deadline. Other than that, the National League, the Braves are sitting at the top again. The Phillies are an absolute, I would say, shock on how they're doing. They're not doing too hot, but it's still early, and they're staying around 500. They're slightly below it right now, 27-32. I'm a big Bryce Harper fan. He's entertaining to watch. Philly, I think, can turn this around. They have the lineup to do it. Injuries have been kind of plaguing them a little bit, but honestly, Philly can honestly make their way back up to the top. New York is not doing as good as what was predicted. They're not too hot away. They're a very home type of team. And I think things can change for a couple of these teams. Miami Marlins doing actually halfway decent this year. They're in second in the National League East. Keep an eye on that. They're a young team. They could probably put something together. They were kind of in the mix last year, and they could be in the mix again this year. Now, Milwaukee, watching them play the Giants recently, I'm obviously a Giants fan, so I pay attention to a lot of the Giants games. That's just kind of how I get my baseball in. And Milwaukee and I would say Pittsburgh are pretty decent teams, and they're holding their own. And honestly, they could be a threat come postseason time because they're young teams. There could be a few tweaks, few call ups as well. There's some farm system players that are due to come up second half of the season if a team wants to make that push and thinks that that player can really make that push. Like the moving on to the National League West, just to talk about farm system players coming up and stuff. So Arizona Diamondbacks are sitting at the top of the division, first time in a very long time. Arizona Diamondbacks are the real deal this year, 35-25. LA is the LA Dodgers. They're always going to be the real deal. They're doing really well. Some injuries kind of caught up to them a little bit, but they're making their way back. And I mean, they're 10 games above 500. Now, my Giants, they're wishy washy. Can't really get a good feel for what they're going to be like. They're not that good away. They're pretty good at home. They let some games slip this past week, but they ended up going 5-5 in their last 10. They're holding it together. They're very, I would say this team has been predicted pretty well by all the analysts and everyone preseason up until now. They were predicted to be this kind of team, wishy-washy, maintaining a 500 road all the way so far. I mean, they're staying in the race. They're in the playoff hunt. They're doing pretty solid. Their only obstacle is they have to play the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers a lot, and they're one of the top 10 teams in the league this year. And they have a pretty big roadblock. The National League West is pretty stacked. I mean, the Padres are a little off to a shaky start, but I think they could turn their season around just because of the lineup that they have. People are saying they're having a structure issue of like what they want their team to be. I mean, sometimes that's the way it happens, man. Like you could put all this talent together, but sometimes they just don't play well together, and I think that's what the Padres are running into. Other than that, guys, give me your thoughts and ideas of what you want to hear for baseball segment. I pretty much covered what I wanted to cover there. NFL wise, uh, there's just some off-season workouts going on. Uh, looks like the Bills added linebacker Floyd to their lineup. Bills Oliver agreed to 4-year deal. Just a couple signings here and there. Big deal with the Raiders is Jimmy G is not passing his physicals, and the Raiders put out a statement saying no anxiety over Raiders QB situation. I mean, honestly, it's kind of a big deal because they already let Carr go. They were really relying that Jimmy G was going to be the guy moving forward, and then that brought up speculation of is Brady going to play again or not, and Brady came out himself and said he is certain that he will not be playing. I mean, I think Brady is officially hung it up. He's been doing a lot of retirement type things, starting up his own business. He possibly just he said he's really staying brand focused, things of that nature. And I mean, honestly, and then another headliner just to kind of touch on things, Falcons expecting Pitts to be ready for season. See what that's all about. Kyle Pitts to be ready for start of season. Okay, that's who we're talking about here. He's recovering from a surgery on his right MCL. I mean, Kyle Pitts is probably the future of the tight ends. We all know how tight ends lifespan go in the in the NFL. NFL schedule has dropped. Teams have their schedules lined up for the season. I was looking at the Niners personally, right? And just off their lineup and how the division is laid out for them, I think the Niners can sweep the division. Now, I mean the Rams still have Matthew Stafford. I think their only roadblock is them and the Seahawks. The Arizona Cardinals look like a dumpster fire. But going down the line, right? You never know. Just some teams are always shock you. Like the Seahawks kind of shocked everybody last year, and I think and then them bringing back Geno for long term, right? NFL wise, long term, next 3 to 4 seasons. The Niners' schedule and the way their division's laid out. I mean, I would say just for their record wise, right? I could see, you know, possible loss to the Cowboys and a possible loss to the Bengals and possible loss to the Eagles. Though they have three really hard teams to play in the regular season. Rematch with the Cowboys. And they're really scheduling with the Cowboys a lot to play in the regular season. That's going to be a night game, Sunday Night Football. Then they have the Eagles ended up not being a night game, which is kind of shocking. And then they play the Bengals as well. Those are like I would say playoff ready teams. Seahawks as well. They can as long as they can get 1 out of 2 with the Seahawks, 1 out of 2 with the Rams. I think they'll sweep the Rams. I think they'll sweep the Cardinals. Um, yeah, I mean they're looking at a very similar season, and then the Niners also have a kind of a shaky look at who's going to be playing quarterback, but and they're Jimmy-less this year, but they have Brock Purdy that shined. They have also what's his name, Trey Lance. Damn, went blank there for a second. Apologize. Other than that, guys, there's a lot going on there, right? And there's chances for all these teams. I think Cowboys are a playoff ready team. I think the Niners are a playoff ready team. The Giants are a different team now. They're a playoff ready team. Steelers could possibly finally be a playoff ready team again, and they were for a very long time. And I mean, the Niners held on. They're going to hold on to Christian McCaffrey. They have Trey Lance ready to come back, and I don't know. There's some, I would say, Super Bowl ready teams, and I would say Super Bowl ready teams. Obviously, Bengals, Eagles, Cowboys. Cowboys, in my eyes, are Super Bowl ready teams, and the Niners are a Super Bowl ready team too. But there's that big if on the Niners because of their quarterback situation. I mean, they showed it, but can the quarterback stay healthy, whether it be Brock Purdy or Trey Lance? Neither one of them were able to stay healthy for a full, 16 plus games. So, there's stuff like off-season transactions, like O-line, D-line, stuff like that. I would say, Cowboys lost some key players. Now there's some key teams that are going to make their way back up to the top because, there's some really good quarterbacks that were drafted. Like the Texans got a quarterback, the Panthers got a quarterback. Those teams front, it's going to look a lot different. Style of play is going to be a lot different. Things it changes every year. Football is a very quick change. Teams flip flop all the time, and then you got teams like the Raiders and the Browns and the Cardinals that like they make their spark one time and then they fall off for almost 10 years. Other than that, guys, I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover. I appreciate you guys tuning in if you are. I know it's been a little bit since I've released an episode. Bear with me here. Been very busy. Work, college, stuff like that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, all that jazz. See you guys next time.